Hi, this is Anna Runyon from ClassyCareerGirl.com, and today in my networking challenge, I'm speaking with Lisa Marie Rowell. Lisa Marie is a certified nutrition and wellness consultant, and she practices clinical whole food nutrition at Body Basics, which is a health center in San Diego, California. So I'm so excited to speak with her today. Thanks so much for being here, Lisa Marie.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Awesome. So I wanted to get started. I know as career girls, we all have very, very busy lifestyles. So I wanted your tips to make sure that we're eating healthy on a busy lifestyle.
Right. It's paramount. It's paramount is actually planning and preparation. That's the first thing that we need to look to. Most food plans or diet plans typically fail because people lack planning and preparation. So even though we're busy career girls, we do have to spend some time up front investing in meal planning, shopping, and food prep. And then very nutritious meals in advance. We can prepackage everything ahead of time, and it makes it so much easier since everything is planned and prepped, where you can just grab and go, invest in some containers, and then just prepack your lunches, and then every day just grab them and go. It makes it so much easier.
Okay. So do you recommend doing that on the weekends?
And everybody's schedule is a little different, so whenever you have your quiet time, your downtime, that's what I recommend doing. Even sitting down and planning out meals, for instance, like what are the top 5 recipes that not only do you like, but are they nutritious and are they easy and convenient, right? That's what we're after here is people that are on a time crunch. So that's the best thing to do. It makes your shopping experience much easier just to have the same ingredients and use them over and over again. Another thing I wanted to add is fruit shakes. Fruit shakes with protein and added nutrients are both nutritionally dense and super tasty. A 16-ounce shake is usually satisfying for most people and can serve as a quick and easy meal replacement. And it's also great for weight management as well. That is probably the most quickest, convenient, nutritious thing that you could do.
Okay.
It's as simple as going to, like for instance, at Trader Joe's, they have organic frozen fruit, and it's just a matter of it seriously could take 3 minutes to prepare a shake. You can even make extra. It lasts in the refrigerator for a couple of days, and you can just bring that to work, and that can be a whole meal replacement.
Okay.
And then a lot of people have a challenge with, I hear this often from my clients, is that a lot of people get daytime fatigue, usually after lunch or in the later afternoon. The best way to try to avoid that is to drink generous amounts of water daily, preferably filtered or spring water. And the rule of thumb is you should be drinking half of your body weight in ounces daily throughout the whole day, in between meals. So, for example, if you're 140 pounds, you should drink at least 70 ounces of water daily, minimum. If you're exercising, you need to drink more because you need to replace the fluids that you're losing. Same thing as if you smoke cigarettes, which hopefully we're not doing that. It's really bad.
Yeah.
But if you smoke cigarettes, or if you drink coffee, you need to. For each 8-ounce cup of coffee, you should be adding an additional 16 ounces of water. It's very dehydrating. It has a diuretic effect. So water is paramount. I have heard it over and over from clients that once they start drinking the proper amount of water, a lot of their daytime fatigue goes away.
Okay.
And another way to, pardon me?
I was just going to say, a lot of people in my office, they just drink coffee all morning up until lunch, and no water. So I know that's a big one if you're in an office.
Right. And then another way of avoiding energy lows throughout the day is you have to be conscious of your blood sugar. Have you ever noticed if you consume carbohydrates, let's say, let's go with a dessert because that's a simple carbohydrate. It spikes your blood sugar. And then all of a sudden you feel depleted. You feel this energy low because your blood sugar drops too low. So what you want to try to do is stabilize it throughout the day. You can do that by snacking in between meals and also reducing or eliminating coffee. and lowering your carbohydrate intake. And believe it or not, coffee actually raises your blood sugar, just like carbs do. So, so the thing is, first of all, coffee is highly addicting. So people are addicted to it. It dehydrates them, which makes you feel further fatigued. You don't replenish, and then the caffeine has you buzzing all day, raises your blood sugar, and all of a sudden your blood sugar drops. And then what do? You reach for another cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's not good.
Many people also, I would say probably about 80% of Americans struggle with sugar handling issues. So if this is the case, I would highly recommend starting your day with protein. A lot of people often will start their day with carbohydrates, which carbs are very addictive. Essentially, carbs are just sugar, whether they're complex or simple. So whether you're eating candy or you're eating brown rice, at the end of the day, your body is going to process it, and it's going to break it down into glucose, which is a simple sugar. And so the best way to stabilize your blood sugar would be to cut down on the carbohydrates and start your day with protein, like, for instance, a couple of eggs. Because if you start your day with protein, you won't crave carbs after, like for the rest of the day. You actually don't crave carbs until you eat carbs. And so if you keep yourself satiated with protein, that usually does the trick.
Okay, that's a good tip. Definitely.
Yeah, that is a very good tip.
A lot of people are just so rushed to get out the door, too, they forget breakfast. So that's a good point that you made, too, just to have something before you leave for work.
Yeah, I really try to have people change not only their eating habits as a whole, but mainly their breakfast. A lot of people will do cereal, and to be quite honest, cereal is highly processed. It's all carbohydrate. It's really not all it's cracked up to be. Even if it has all these health claims on the box, it's really just all marketing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So what would you recommend then as a healthy start to your day?
Well, if you do, I think a healthy start, whether it is carbs or it's a fruit shake. Even though it has carbohydrates, I would recommend adding quite a bit of whey protein, getting at least a minimum of 10 grams of whey protein in your shake, and then adding other nutrients such as powdered greens or some other nutrients to it. And that way you actually will feel satisfied because your body is actually being nourished. A lot of times people will have a lot of empty calories, in which commercial cereal is that. It doesn't provide your body with enough nourishment, and so then you end up more hungry.
Right.
It doesn't really stave off hunger.
Yeah, I've had that where I just have a bowl of cereal. I'm like, I had breakfast, but I'm just still hungry after an hour. So I think you're totally right about that.
Right.
Okay. Do you have any ideas for other like healthy snacks or healthy lunches that we can eat at work?
Yeah, absolutely. The best choices for healthy snacks, I would say, are raw veggies or a handful of raw nuts. We typically don't eat enough raw foods. And the great thing about raw foods is because they're not, and I'm talking about raw whole foods, since they're not processed, they still have their vitamin content intact. So they don't lose much, because cooking will actually deplete nutrients. And if you cook over a temperature of 110 degrees, you're going to deplete all the enzymes that are natural to the food. But by eating raw foods, we're eating more nutritious foods, but we're also getting all those valuable enzymes that will actually help digest the food.
Okay.
So if raw veggies aren't your favorite, then you could try them with a healthy dip. For instance, you could try, like, let's say, baby carrots and some mini peppers to dip in hummus. There's a lot of things that you could do. It just really just takes, like I said in the beginning, some time investment up front to plan everything out.
Yeah, and my tip too would be to find something you like too, because if you just get a bunch of health food you don't like, then you're not going to eat it.
Right. So it's good to sit down and make a list and say, okay, what vegetables do I like raw? and then make the list. And then if you like hummus or any other kinds of dips, if that's what it takes for you to eat a healthy snack in the day, then it's better than not getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And then that will help keep your blood sugar stable.
Okay.
And then as far as lunch goes, for something that's convenient and nutritious, I would recommend green salads with proteins. They're always a sure ticket. They're low calorie, they're nutritionally dense, and they're quick and easy to repair. They can even be pre-packed in the fridge for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're preparing your salads, you should keep in mind I have a few guidelines. Number one, the darker the greens, the better. So the darker the greens are, the richer they're going to be in nutrients and minerals. And then add a variety of toppers so that you can get a variety of nutrients. And you'll top with a moderate amount of protein. Some of us do too much protein, and that's actually can have an adverse effect on us long term. So as an example, what I would do is I would do, let's say an organic spinach salad topped with red onions, artichoke hearts, and just 3 ounces of free-range, antibiotic, hormone-free grilled chicken I would drizzle it with avocado oil, lemon juice, and pepper. So, and you'll notice that I didn't mention anything about store-bought salad dressing.
Right.
The store-bought salad dressings are super processed. They're just laden with all kinds of ingredients that are unhealthful, such as high fructose corn syrup, sugar, all kinds of preservative chemicals. It's so much better if you just make it at home.
Okay. So, how would you make it? With olive oil and...
Right, and there's various things. I mean, you can actually put together a homemade salad dressing by using apple cider vinegar and olive oil and some seasonings. That's a simple, basic recipe. And then it can be even simpler, just how I mentioned, just by drizzling a little bit of healthful oil with some lemon juice. Lemon juice can be substituted for vinegar.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be, any kind of elaborate recipe.
Okay. Well, this is awesome. I'm learning a lot already so far. I thought I knew a lot about healthy foods, but I'm already learning a lot. So.
Well, good.
Yeah. So I'm curious now that we've talked about all the foods that we should be eating. How can what we eat influence our attitude and our energy and overall happiness?
Wow. Okay. That is a loaded question, so I'm going to try to answer it as best as I can and as brief as possible.
Okay.
Firstly, when we must think of ourselves as whole, body, mind, and spirit. We're not simply the sum of our parts. We're a whole integrated system. So there are certain vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that our body needs to function, period. Otherwise, we wouldn't function. So, for example, if we ate nothing but junk foods, our body's reserves would fairly quickly become depleted, leaving us severely deficient and imbalanced. So this would be a biochemical nightmare. We would lack energy, to say the least, which, of course, reflects on our attitude. Right? How we feel reflects our attitude. And disease at some point would certainly manifest, leaving us sick and tired. So it's a fairly loaded question, and if we had a couple of hours, we can go into every aspect of it. Mm-hmm. But I think overall, does that make sense when I say that we're a whole and everything is connected?
Right.
Right? So
yeah.
Our brain is connected. It's part of our nervous system, which is connected to every nerve, which connects to every organ. And so even what we eat does influence not just our attitude, but the thoughts that we think, believe it or not.
And it also kind of goes into my next question, too, is, how can what we eat help us avoid, certain diseases?
Right. Well, then that would be, exactly, so that ties right into your last question. So on the flip side, if we ate a properly balanced diet, which is a totally natural diet, that would ideally keep us nourished and our biochemistry balanced. Our energy and vitality would increase, and our brain and nervous system would have the nourishment it needed, which would provide us with mental clarity and overall feeling of well-being. So if we honor our body, it's going to honor us, right? So how can we avoid diseases? Well, I would start out by saying that we all have different genetic predispositions, and we all come from different ancestral roots. So I would want to make any guarantees about disease, because disease is it's a medical term. Mm-hmm. So I have to be really careful about what I say. So I can't really make any guarantees about, if you do this, you'll avoid X disease or Y disease. I can't really say. But overall, the best way to avoid disease is by honoring your body. So I think of it as good in, bad out. So if you consume a variety of whole organic foods and you eliminate processed and offending foods, then that will put you on the right track. And more than likely, you won't experience the disease. You'll notice I say disease. Also, we live in such a toxic environment. Toxic overload can lead to a plethora of unfavorable symptoms, such as headaches, menstrual issues, and fatigue, to name a few. I highly recommend doing a detoxification program every 6 months to a year. At the clinic where I practice nutrition, Body Basics, we have an awesome purification program. I personally do that program every 6 months. And it has done miraculous things for people. I have seen people not only acquire really good eating habits that they stuck with long term, which is a true lifestyle change. Mm-hmm. They experience more energy, improved digestion. I've seen people get off blood pressure medication, reduce blood pressure medication, so detoxing has actually lowered their blood pressure, and I think it goes hand in hand with the dietary changes as well. And I've seen people who had fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, who their liver counts plummeted just by detoxifying and changing their eating habits. So, there was no need for them to be on liver medication then, which ultimately, when you start taking all these medications, there's so many side effects that you got to take more medications for the side effects.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow, that's awesome though. That's good to hear.
Yeah. So that's if you couldn't do it every 6 months, for at the very least once a year.
Okay.
Detoxify your body, and we don't only get toxins from the air we breathe, environmental toxins like pollution, but just by our own metabolism, our byproduct of metabolism is a bunch of toxic acids, and so we constantly need to purge those.
Okay. So what made you, I know you haven't always been a nutrition consultant, so what made you decide to become one?
Oh, okay. I'll try not to be too lengthy, because that's times when I talk about, of course, my personal life. But my health crusade started with my own personal health journey. I found myself overweight and mentally exhausted. It was probably about 6 months after having my daughter. At that time, my husband, he was also very overweight, and he was on several medications. I was inspired to make some changes for myself and for my family. So I spent countless hours reading health and nutrition books and doing online research. And then meanwhile, I was looking to make a career change at the time, and I was so excited about the prospect of going back to school and studying landscape architecture, something that I had been fantasizing about for years. Mm-hmm. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Why am I going to study landscape architecture when I spend more time researching, talking, and thinking about nutrition and natural health? And that's all I was doing at the time. For a solid 2 years, living, breathing, eating nutrition, reading books. I would spend literally anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a day just doing online research. And wow. Then I began to formally study. So everything just flourished from there. After several months of nutritional diligence, I went down 3 sizes. I felt absolutely amazing. It was the best I had ever felt in my life. My husband also lost a considerable amount of weight and was able to get off all of his medications, in fact, with the exception of just one, and we're still working on that. And then I began reaching out to family and friends, and they also achieved great results. So it just all flourished in that way.
Oh, that's cool. I love how you chose, you kind of listened to your heart. You kind of listened to what you were loving doing every day and turned that into your career.
Absolutely.
I love
that. That was certainly an epiphany. It hit me. Like I said, like a ton of bricks, and I'm glad that I did it because it's sort of it's my personal mission now. So at some point, I want to take it to a larger scale where I can reach out to more underprivileged people.
Mm-hmm.
And there is definitely a way for people to get the nutrition that they need for their body to function properly so they can be healthy and happy and they can live a fruitful life. There's definitely a way of doing that without eating McDonald's and commercialized foods that are laden with chemical fertilizers and pesticides. And I think it's our birthright. I think that's what God has provided on this earth. All this nature, we have access to it. And unfortunately, a lot of it's been our ecology has been destroyed by a lot of modern agriculture and things of that sort. But there's a way to do it. I mean, I've been, in fact, hopefully, I'm hoping in a few years I've been doing some research. I'll be releasing a book about what the true cost of healthcare is, and yes, that you can be underprivileged, you can be on a lower budget, and you can be incredibly healthy and have great eating habits and not have to have 99-cent hamburgers at McDonald's.
Mhm. Definitely. So this question I ask at the end of all my interviews is, what is one thing you wish you would have known as a young professional woman just starting out in her career?
It would have been beneficial for me to have a greater awareness of my body and its nutritional needs. I could have done away with all those dreadful menstrual cycles that I had. I suffered for many years, since a teenager, with all kinds of menstrual issues, PMS, cramps, emotional issues, and I think that kept me in bed 1 to 2 days out of the month. So that wasn't very prosperous or productive for me to spend my time in agony. I could have also experienced much more energy and vitality, and it would have allowed me to perform better at my job.
Mhm. Yeah, those are great. That's a good thing to know, and I'm glad you know that now, and you're sharing it with all of my readers on my blog who are going to learn this too. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So where can people find more about you online?
Well, currently my personal website is under construction, but I can certainly be reached at bodybasicsSD.com under nutrition. I am their in-house nutritionist. They're a long-time health center that's located in San Diego, California. We do everything from detoxing, nutrition. It's a wonderful clinic, and if anyone lives in San Diego, it'd be a good place to visit. But I can be reached there online.
Okay, great. So thanks so much for doing this interview. I've had a blast talking with you.
You too. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes,
really appreciate it. And if you ever have any questions, please welcome them. Feel free to give me a call.
Okay, definitely. Well, this is Anna Runyon from ClassyCareerGirl.com.